What do I mean when I talk about B2B journey has gone agentic? Buyers are no longer moving through a journey we designed for them. They're actively orchestrating their own journey, using an AI agent, automation, self-service tools to do the work that sales reps and marketeers used to do for them. So that's why I mean, and that's the shift that we are observing in the past year or so. So that's where it's going.
Welcome back to Asia AIM, the podcast where we explore how B2B marketing is evolving in Japan and across the APAC region. I'm your host, Robert Held. If you've been feeling like buyer behavior has shifted faster than your content strategy lately, then you're definitely not imagining it. Today, I'm joined by Halel Porat, COO of Trendemon, a company that's been thinking deeply about how B2B buyers actually discover, evaluate, and decide, especially in a rapidly changing AI-first world. Halel is a true veteran in the B2B growth space. With over 15 years as a marketing technology leader, he's done it all, from leading product and revenue teams to managing full sales cycles. What makes him so valuable is his deep understanding of the entire B2B buyer journey, from the very first touch point all the way through to conversion. He sits right at the intersection of technology, data, and go-to-market strategy. His company, Trendemon, recently launched an agentic answer engine for websites. And I wanted to have a chat with Halel, not to talk about the features, but to unpack the bigger picture. How is generative AI changing buyer journeys, and why is the era of browse and read ending? And what B2B marketers globally and here in Japan need to do and rethink if they want to stay relevant. So Halel, it's really great to have you on the show. I've been waiting to have this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Robert. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm excited to talk about this topic because everybody should. I think that to kick off this conversation, all marketing teams, especially B2B marketing teams, already have the understanding that things are different, journeys are different. I hope I can shed some light on how it's different, what we're seeing so far from data, from running over 100, 200 different main B2B websites worldwide, what we're seeing and changes and actions they should take. But these are definitely exciting times with a lot of change due to new technology that we got. I think that in the past year, we all just started to understand how to use it. And now we're using it, and applications will come in the next year or two. So excited to talk about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. We've been talking for over a year now. We are partners, and it's really fascinating working with you and your team. So when you say B2B buyer journey has gone agentic, and we talked about this, I think, on our last call, what does it actually look like in terms of LLMs, pages, decisions, and so on? Why has buyer journey gone agentic?
Maybe let's take even a step back and say what's an agentic. What is an agentic website? What's the difference? Okay, so until now we had let's say normal websites, static websites that basically at the end of the day they reacted to what we clicked. We searched, we filters, we did these kind of actions, and we got results. An agentic website, specifically also for B2B, it understands what we're trying to achieve and actively needs to help us to accomplish it. So I just wanted, first of all, to have that grounding of an understanding, because a lot of buzzwords are flying around, agentic, an AI, and many things. So I think it's very important to understand what it means. Okay? So if
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so if I'm on a website that, I don't know, for travel agency, back in the day, until recently, I searched that I want to go to Thailand, and will give me maybe suggestions. Okay, And what it will do basically is, okay, I just want to write, I want to book a relaxing beach trip to Thailand. They will already simultaneously check for me flights, suggest me hotels, and build for me the package. In other words, provide me an answer, provide me a way to make a decision better and faster. So that's the difference between them. And back to your question, what do I mean when I talk about B2B journey has gone agentic? So I mean that buyers are no longer moving through a journey we designed for them.
Mm.
They're actively orchestrating their own journey, using an AI agent, automation, self-service tools to do the work that sales reps and marketeers used to do for them. So that's why I mean, and that's the shift that we are observing in the past year or so. Yeah. So that's where it's going.
Okay. Yeah. So, when you mean this is where it's going, and in the past year or so, this has been happening in Japan, buyers tend to do a lot of research already, even previously, right? And, in Japan, buyers love to do research, love to find out information about your product, your technology, much before, they approach you. So it's kind of becoming this silent shortlist, right? They shortlist their top, vendors they want to work with. How does that idea show up here specifically?
That's a good question. And that silent shortlist also that you mentioned, we call it the silent journey. And this is what added. That silent journey. Things that we're not tracking because it's not happening on our domain. I think this resonates a lot with Japanese buyers. Anyway, Japanese buyers traditionally do extensive internal alignment before even engaging vendors. We know that. From risk reduction reasons, taking consensus and reputation safety matters more than speed. It always has been there. So the real buying work has always happened even before the sales call. Okay? This is something that, again, we don't have a lot of data on Japan, but I'm assuming that that's where it is and where it's going. And the silent shortlist in Japan typically can mean that buyers spend months researching without signaling intent, right? We always talk about intent. We always talk about signals. And we as marketeers and as sales teams, we're trying to get our leading indicators from different signals. And now it's harder for us to do that, okay, because of that silent journey. Vendors are evaluated primarily through public artifacts, content, case studies, documentation, third-party validation. And by the time sales is contacted, could be the decision is already made 60-80% of the time. So actually, I think that the ways that Japanese worked until now is very aligned to where we are and where it's going, because anyway, we feel sometimes in that kind of silent journey, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I see it.
Okay. Yeah. So if that's the case, then what are marketers underestimating? You said, right, buyers are getting a lot of information by their own research, looking at, publicly available information, publicly available case studies, websites that are reviewing your product and so on. So what are marketers underestimating, and why should we be concerned?
So basically, all that silent journey that is happening, all the fact that we just talked until now, that journeys start before, and the end of the day, the assets that the content that they're getting from is coming from the website. They're underestimating the fact that content is more important than ever, because that's going to be the brain. The way that I picture it is that companies are going to have like all the documentation, the use cases, the case studies, content about their product, maybe it won't even matter that it's on the website, but that's where GEO, that's where third party will take the content from. So I think that that's a place that they should invest a lot in, and they need to know that, because every time you're getting an answer on ChatGPT, it's coming from somewhere. It's coming from your data, right? So you need to take care of the data that you're all the public. I'll give you another example. I think until a few years ago, B2B companies, also in terms of SEO, they wanted a lot of content. I want 18 blog posts a month. At the end of the day, it's going to help me. It's going to help with our search engine optimization. People will find me. I'm going to add a lot of words, and it is important for SEO. But if these papers, these reports, these publications are not accurate, the answers that they're getting, it will be problematic in the end. You need to be precise today. Buyers have less attention. So you need to have good content. You need to manage it correctly, and you need to make sure it answers buyers' questions. Okay?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And you talked about content, right? And especially you see this a lot on Japanese B2B sites. They're still very product focused, very company focused, very brand focused, right? How does that, and why does that clash with how buyers now want to get answers? You talked about reports and information that they're getting from external sources.
Again, so I don't think it clashes. It's important to have that. But they need to make sure that everything that they publish on the website will be a part of what we call like the AI brain. That will be somehow at the end of the day will be consumed even outside the website. So they need to be focused. It's okay that they're focused about the product, but it's not enough. They need to understand, and they need to, even from imagining and testing, what buyers would ask about the company, and what do they do. And it's okay that they're focused about the product, because maybe a lot of buyers do their shortlist evaluation, and they need to compare features, compare capabilities, compare pricing if possible, compare all of these things. And again, the data is going to come from the website. So you just need to make sure that the papers that you write, again, will answer these questions. That's the way I think. That's how we see it. How it's helping.
Okay, you raise a very, very interesting and important point, and combined with buyers are arriving on your website later, at a later stage in the process. What happens when a buyer wants specific information from your website, but they only get a generic messaging? They've already done all the research. They've arrived like 80% into their shortlist, and they come to your website and they get generic information, generic messaging.
Correct. They're coming to the website. In other words, what you're saying, they're coming to the website more mature. They're coming to the website not necessarily at what we considered as first touch, right? Their education, they did probably some of their comparison already, and now they need to get maybe a few more answers. Maybe they're ready to talk to someone. I would say a buyer at that stage would need one of two things, and it's the buyer's choice. But he needs to have these two options. One is a quick way to talk with a seller, and two, and I'm already gonna throw this out, but have maybe some kind of agent on the website that can provide them more accurate answers to their questions. I'm sure we're going to discuss about this
That's
also,
right, yes.
Again in this conversation, but this is where it's going. Okay? So it depends on the buyer, but one of these two, this is what he needs now. There are buyers who like to talk to people, and it's time for them, so they'll take that direction. But then again, if they need an immediate and accurate answer to their question, they need an agent on the website to help them to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to kind of bring the relevance to Japan. And as you know, Japan's got a very strong approval culture on everything, especially content, what they publish and how they publish. How does that slow down a company's ability to get answers to real buyer questions? Are you seeing friction there? Are you seeing issues there?
I don't know yet exactly how it's going to work. We don't have enough data so I can really give you benchmarks about that specifically in Japan. But I trust that from my experience in Japanese websites where content is very, very, very precise and it's monitored very, very well. What may slow down is trust that they will need on AI agents to provide answers taken from the content that they wrote. My suggestion and my advice, and it's not specifically only for Japan, is to test and to validate the content on how AI. Now, if they want or not, anyway, they're going to get these questions outside of the website. So the trust needs to be made, and it's on them to make sure that their website will be more accurate.
Yeah. So we're going to go into that AI conversation right now. So, you mentioned content libraries, websites are changing to answer engines, right? So what's the mental shift marketing teams need to make to adjust to that, where we are going, where we already are, many companies already are.
So a lot of B2B websites in Japan, I think they lack of amount of explanations and content and use cases and white papers and all of that on the website. I think they need to produce more content. Like they used in many cases, I see that even sometimes it's like a business card, like the website. There's content there. You can understand what they're doing. But again, since from the website, GEO will take answers, you need to add more information. You need to add more things you want, more answers to provide. Okay? So content is relevant more than ever. But like they will just consume it differently, the visitors. People will search less. They have less attention. The content that you need to, again, I'm repeating that because in different ways,
important.
but it's important. This is, I think, one of the main things. Content is important even more than before. It's just consumed different. It's not because I think now people will search more on the website. It's the other way around. It's going to use as the library, as the content pool, as the brain to provide answers on the website, but also outside of the website.
Yeah. So one thing I find that's really powerful, fascinating for me is, capturing actual questions that buyers are asking, right? Answer engines can do that. Why is that so different from, you mentioned earlier, traditional intent data signals that, marketers are usually looking for. Now you can capture what is the buyer thinking in terms of a question. Yeah.
I think that when you have an open text box, you can ask whatever you want and however you feel. Sometimes the language is, you make sure when you talk to someone else, if it's sales or anyone we're talking to, we're thinking about what we're asking in a different way. So things are changing, like on the type we see the type of questions. We sometimes can't believe it, but people are asking it and they're getting answers. So it is fascinating. And I think you just said it correctly. It's really the way that they, it's fascinating, the idea of how they are asking the questions, and it's completely different where you're in front of a machine or not, in a good way. You're not afraid. You can ask whatever you want. You can be rude. You can do whatever you want and get these answers. So it's a big plus in that sense.
Indeed, right. And from a marketer's perspective, that's really good insight. You can know what your buyers are thinking. It's like you are reading their minds, right? Because previously, you get keywords, you get questions, and then you land on a page, but you don't know exactly what question. You get what keywords they look to search up and find you. But now we can see what's the actual question structure, that buyers are asking.
Yes. I'll say something about that. It's important to remember that the way that we market may change, but we're always getting signals. And this is just another signal with a very strong intent. A company in your ICP that is asking a question, any question, the fact that they asked a question, even before the answer that they got, intent bigger than zero, I call it. Right? First of all, there's interest. Not only a company in my ICP visited my website, but they took action. So definitely for marketeers, this is huge. And it's going to get easier for them how to manage it if they segmentize correctly their traffic to the website and someone from segment A is asking a question and it depends where they ask the question. You're getting a lot of information to understand what do they need, and you're getting a lot, and marketeers get an understanding what do they need to fix in their content in order to provide better answers for next time.
Yeah. And now if I wear my salesman hat on, right, how do these live buyer questions change how salespeople should follow up? In Japan, sales teams value context and timing. So, these live buyer questions are a great resource for me. So what should sales teams do?
I think that when sales team approach a prospect, and if they know what the prospect is asked about, you just can be more focused on their main pain point. Sales teams, one of their goals, especially in the top of funnel and the SDR, BDR space, they need to understand who the buyer is. And one of the check and they need to do is to understand their pain. Sometimes it's difficult. There's your ICP, you'll know the company size, the revenue and what they're looking for, fantastic. But to grasp the exact pain of your buyer is if you know that, and so you can take a better action. You'll know what to write him better. You know what kind of assets to send him better. So that's how sales should take a look at that.
Yeah, and I think your product signal it helps buyers when they ask a question to serve up right answers, and also I think the follow-up questions to that also could be very educational to salespeople. Saying, okay, here's the answer our Agentic website has delivered, but then what's the follow-up questions the buyers ask? Because then you can really build a catalog of questions to define the problem even better. So then when you are having that human interaction with the buyer, you show that you understood them, and it cuts so much of the sales cycle down, right? That's fascinating.
Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't stop in the first question and answer.
Right.
But it's a dialogue. And maybe we can scale that dialogue. Maybe we will find that we have multiple buyers. Now we're talking about strategy from here, right? Until now we talked about an example or someone specifically of a journey, of a buyer's journey. But if we can now start to add another type of segmentation based on questions, based on types of pain, it's very interesting because until now, we took care of static segmentation, geolocation, company size, revenue, amount of employees, tech stack. Very important, all of these. But this is a more like a human kind of segmentation we can take, even though paradoxically it's by AI. But yeah, I agree. Very interesting.
Yeah. Yes, really interesting times ahead for us. We're hearing a lot more about generative engine optimization, right? So what do marketers need to think in terms of GEO alongside of SEO? And SEO is still relevant, still important. Keywords are still important, right? So how do marketers need to rethink their GEO and SEO strategy side by side?
All right. So first of all, it's important to say GEO does not replace SEO. It reframes it. You're no longer optimizing just for search engines, but for generative decision makers. AI systems that summarize, compare, and recommend. So that's very important, okay? We're not saying bye-bye for SEO. I'm not saying that in any way. SEO is super important, but we have now more work to do. So the first step, or less technical maybe, even more strategically, right? And I would say it's something like audit. Try to audit what an AI actually understands about you. Ask, for example, if an AI had to explain our product in 3 sentences, would it get it right? You know your elevator speech perfect. You know to explain, and someone else is saying it, you know to correct them. I would do that as a first step. And that means checking how clearly your position shows up across public content. Right? So all of these kind of things. So that's definitely something I would I would do. And the second part will be the second step is to understand how do I need to correct my content. Again, back to that. That's like the that's the bricks, right? Our content, that's where GEO is picking up everything, is not taken from anywhere else. That's the database. So first understand what's it saying, and then see what is the right way to correct. And it's a feedback loop. Like you always optimize SEO, GEO is going to be an ongoing process, and it's going to adapt, and it's going to change, and you're going to learn things about your company and the way that by what people are asking or how it explains about you, your positioning may change. Not the positioning, but the way you explain it, the messaging, sorry. The messaging will. So this is how I see the GEO SEO. Benchmark numbers in the past year, we see about 15% decrease with SEO of people coming in from GEO. Okay, we expect that to stay or grow in the upcoming year for 2026, but just throwing that also here.
Yeah, that's really good advice. First you audit, then you fix the content, keep it up to date, and then you're always optimizing. And I think you made a really interesting point as well. And we are seeing it, right? When we look at our Google Analytics, the data, the sources of traffic referring, ChatGPT is right on top there. It's like now the third or fourth, and not far behind is Gemini, and you got all the answer engines, right? So it's you're starting to see the traditional sources of referring traffic changing. And when I have conversations with clients, new clients that reach out to us, and ask them, "How did you find us?" 4 times in 5, it's ChatGPT or Gemini, right? That's pretty strong.
Yeah. It's here. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just sharing real benchmark numbers from over 200 major B2B website, B2B websites. Yeah, it's here.
It's here. Yeah, and you do a fair bit of business in Japan. You come to Japan quite often, and Japanese buyers, they put a lot of emphasis on trust, accuracy. They're one of the most risk averse people. So how does an answer-led experience, how can that help to build trust, and how can that help to build trust rather than feel intrusive?
That's a very good question, and I agree with you. The Japanese websites go back to Japanese culture. I love it, and I really understand from where it's coming from. One thing, as we just said, people are gonna ask questions about you anyway. You need to understand how to live with it and how to know how to perform better with it. And the way to do it, we also offer that and we encourage all of our accounts, is what we call doing some kind of grounding questions, and that's testing. Before you go live with anything, with any kind of agent, we track and we scan, and we recommend to do it with or without Trendemon, all of your pages into to read by LLM, and then send questions, ask it and to see what answers, get confidence. Okay? I know that there are segments like finance, like healthcare, that it's not that there's no trust there, it's really problematic sometimes to give someone else credit to provide an answer. And then they say, whatever happening outside my website, that's not us. I get that. And on the website, we can't allow it right now. I think it's going to get there anyway. And AI is improving day by day. So at the end of the day, all type of, let's call it verticals, will be using it. We have always early adapters that are deep in already. And there are also just verticals that it's more hard for them. We have a lot of healthcare accounts. I know how it is. They just can't provide answers that they did not get approval to write about. How can AI do that for us?
Yeah.
There's still, but we're not there yet for everything. That's the truth. But I believe everything is going to get there at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about 20 years ago when we started, right? The internet. So it's just another game now.
Indeed. And that, always adapting and always staying relevant is so important. Speaking of which, are you seeing Japanese companies, clients that you work with, approaching AI on their website more cautiously? Is there a smart, low-risk way to get started? Because again, when something new, everyone's concerned about, I'm worried about putting AI on my website, right? And the risk-averse, person in me would be, no. So that's how probably Japanese companies and buyers are thinking.
Yep.
Any recommendations on how to start?
Experiment and test. Don't do anything if you don't feel with it confident enough. I would take time. Don't be in a rush. Everything is okay. But experiment, test, publish again assets, correct things that you want to correct in your content. Add more content. Super important. Okay? I always told that to Japanese B2B websites and companies that they need more assets out there. And again, now more than ever, it's important. But feel confident for everything you add to the website. But just remember that anyway, people are going to ask about you, and you need to be in the game. If your website is a part of your GTM, then you will need this at the end of the day. Okay? If it's a part of your GTM, meaning it's a part of your funnel, it's a part of your customer life cycle. On the website, you need people to engage in order to request demos, to start trials, to do many other things. You will need them to get answers. They will not have attention to talk to people yet and to read a lot of content by themselves.
Yeah. And like you said, you don't know what part of the journey the buyer is already in when they land on your website, because a lot of the research is done even before, and a lot of the questions are asked on other LLMs like ChatGPT and the like, and the comparisons are done on the other websites. The questions are asked over there. So perhaps you could explain, in a brief way, how does your technology work? What is Signal? What does your product do, and how does it work on my website?
Right. Okay. So first of all, we scan the website. Not just scan the website in terms of URLs and images and categories. We do that too. But in terms of LLM, we scan the website and we read all of it. And the first thing we do is we enable you a testing environment to understand what answers people will get and what would we recommend to do, and from which pages on the website we took the answers. And then they can, if it's correct, the answers, or even maybe add rules and educate the brain what to talk about, what not to talk about. And because everything we discussed today, especially the part that the buyer's journey start before and when they come to the website, they now need to get specific answers. We basically built some kind of a AI chat engine. It doesn't replace an SDR. We don't do any routing. We're basically trying to provide the same experience the buyer had outside of the website on the website. We want to provide them a way to ask questions and to get more accurate answers quickly to help them with their decision-making process. When a buyer is ready to talk with you, he will talk with you. Okay? So this is the goal of Signal, is to provide you signals of accounts that visit your website, how they are engaging, what pages they are visiting, and what questions are they asking, and what answers did they get. And that will go to the sales and the marketing team to continue the buyer's journey that way.
Okay. And how is this different from a chatbot then? We've got a chatbot on our website. How is Signal different from a chatbot?
Usually the purpose of a chatbot is to get you to a salesperson as fast as possible. We're here to provide them the experience that they have to get answers to questions that they have. We're providing answers, meaning that we're scanning the website, which chatbots don't usually do. We're scanning all the website to have that brain. So this is more for experience of the visitor. Chatbots are great. I recommend using them. Some of them are really good. But I think at the end of the day, chatbots will turn into this way
Agentic.
or another. Yeah, agentic. Okay. At the end of the day, I think, this is where it's going to be.
Okay. So there's just so much to take in, right? So if you're a B2B marketing leader in Japan and you're listening to this and you're feeling overwhelmed by all this AI, all this change happening, what's the one thing you would advise them to stop doing? And what's the one thing they should start doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, as I tell to many marketing teams, if things are going well with you, continue and do whatever is working well, and fix the points in the journey, in your customer's journey, that is not working. It changes from company to company. But for sure, absolutely, one thing that you must understand, buyers are asking about you. Buyers are comparing everything about you. So you must take care more and more of maybe less on the website structure and stuff like that, but more on the brain, more on the content. I think this is the main thing.
Yeah, and I know we don't have a crystal ball to look into and predict the future. Over the next 12 months, what do you think will separate B2B websites that convert to those that just look good?
Yeah, I think that agentic websites, the ones that will adopt faster, will be in the race, and websites will be agentic. I think websites will always, be here for the next few years. They will just be used differently. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm talking about websites that are part of the funnel. You need some place to start or in the middle. Again, requesting demo. I'm not even talking about PLG. Not only SLG companies. We didn't talk about PLG at all today. There's so much to talk about the difference between SLG and PLG strategy when we talk about SaaS solutions.
Yeah.
But it will all be agentic at the end of the day.
Okay. Halel, this has been really fascinating. I got a quick fire round of questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. What's the one B2B marketing metric that's overvalued today?
I think time on site is something that is overvalued.
Okay, interesting.
Because where journey's length is changing. It's not starting on the website. I'm expecting website journeys maybe to be shorter.
That's a really good point. Yeah. What's the one question Japanese buyers ask that surprises global marketers?
I don't really have, again, enough data to do some benchmarks around that. But I think that generally they're always more product oriented in terms of understanding exactly feature capabilities.
The benefits and features is what they're asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, what's the one thing every B2B website should answer within 30 seconds?
Exactly what they do. Messaging should be crystal clear to explain that. I think it will always hard to go into a website. What do these guys do? I don't get it. So you need some kind of elevator speech, let's say, that is very clear and very quick at first. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Halel. This has been such a great conversation. I learned a lot. And what really stood out for me is that it's not about chasing the next AI tool. It's about respecting how buyers behave today and giving them clarity instead of friction, giving them a seamless journey. They already come well prepared and they've shortlisted you. How can you make it better for them to choose you, right? So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and helping us understand such a chaotic topic, but very succinctly, and how to focus on what buyers are actually doing.
Thank you. I enjoyed it as well. It's fun talking about this. Again, back to where we started this conversation. These are exciting times. A lot of adoption of a new technology is coming, and this changes the buyer's journey. And I think what you just said is to listen to your buyers, try to understand what they need. Your product is good; they will come, and but they need to get the right understanding of what you do. And yeah.
Indeed, yeah. To our listeners, if this episode got you rethinking about your website, your content, or how buyers show up, that is really a good thing. So thank you very much for listening and watching Asia AIM Podcasts. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if it'd also be possible for you to leave us a review, because reviews make a huge difference in how other visitors find our show. Until next time, I'm Robert Held, and I'll be back soon with more conversations on how to win in Asia's dynamic and diverse markets. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Asia AIM podcast. If today's conversation sparked new ideas or insight, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share the show. For more resources, tips on doing business in Asia, or to book a meeting with our team, visit asiaimpodcast.com. Stay curious, stay connected, and we'll see you in the next episode of Asia AIM.